There are moments in life where you realize you've made a terrible mistake, where you understand, with perfect clarity, that every decision leading to this point was wrong. For me, that moment came at 11 p.m. on a Tuesday, standing in my office at Valentino and Associates, staring at a contract that was actually a death warrant disguised in legal language. Territorial rights negotiation between Valentino Holdings and Corsetti Enterprises. That's what the header said. But I knew what it really meant. Two crime families dividing up Milan like it was a chessboard, and I was being sent to represent one side. The side that would get me killed if the other side knew who I really was. This is insane, I muttered to myself, pacing the small office that had become my prison over the past 6 months. He wants me to walk into a room with the Corsettis and negotiate like I'm just some lawyer. Like they won't see through it. Like they won't realize I work for their enemy. I kept talking, voicing every fear to the empty room. Because it was 11 p.m. and the office was deserted, and sometimes you needed to hear your own terror spoken aloud to process it. What if they recognize me? What if they know about my father's debts? My voice was rising now, professional composure cracking under the weight of 6 months of secrets. What if they put it together that I'm here because of Dante? I'll be dead before dessert. I grabbed the contract, read through it again, even though I'd memorized every clause. Tomorrow at 2 p.m., I would sit across from the Corsetti family's legal team and negotiate territory disputes. Dante Valentino, my boss, the head of the Valentino crime family, had made it very clear. This meeting was crucial. I was to handle it personally, and I was expected to succeed. And he won't even be there. I continued, my hands shaking as I set down the papers. He's sending me alone. No protection. No backup. Just handle it, Serena. Like I'm not terrified. Like I haven't been losing sleep for a week trying to figure out how to survive this without. You will go to the meeting without me. The voice came from the doorway.
Deep. Calm.
Unmistakable. I spun around, my heart stopping. Dante Valentino stood leaning against the frame, arms crossed, watching me with those dark eyes that saw everything. He was still in his suit from earlier, Armani, perfectly tailored, not a hair out of place despite the late hour. The Patek Philippe on his wrist caught the light as he moved. How long had he been standing there? Mr. Valentino. I tried to compose myself, smooth my hair, pretend I hadn't just been having a breakdown. I didn't realize you were still in the office. Clearly. He pushed off the doorway, moved into my office with that predatory grace that always made my pulse race. I've been listening to your solo lamentation for 10 minutes. You have concerns. My cheeks burned with humiliation. He'd heard everything. Every panicked word. Every admission of fear. I was just processing. I managed. You were panicking. He stopped in front of my desk, his tall frame making the small office feel even smaller. Understandable. The Corsettis are dangerous. This meeting is high risk. And I'm sending you alone. Why? The word burst out before I could stop it. If it's so dangerous, why send me without protection? His expression didn't change. Because my presence would get you killed. I stared at him. What? The Corsettis know me. No, I don't negotiate through lawyers. I handle business personally, directly, with explicit terms. He moved around my desk, close enough that I could smell his cologne, something expensive and cedar-scented. If I attend tomorrow's meeting, they'll realize you're more than just legal counsel. They'll investigate. They'll discover your father's debts to them. They'll put together that you're working for me to clear those debts. And then they'll kill you to hurt me. The logic was brutal.
But sound.
But if you go alone, he continued, his eyes intense on mine, you're beneath their notice. Just another lawyer handling boring territorial contracts. You negotiate the legal language while I negotiate the real terms through other channels. You're invisible to them. Invisible. I repeated, my throat tight. Safe. His hand came up, fingers grazing my jaw in a touch that was completely inappropriate and absolutely electric. This is the only way to protect you, Serena. Trust me. Trust him. The man who'd hired me 6 months ago knowing about my father's corruption. The man who'd offered me a position at his legitimate law firm with salary generous enough to make me suspicious. The man who'd slowly revealed the truth, Valentino and Associates, was a front for the Valentino crime family, and I was working for the Mafia. But he was also the man who'd kept me safe for 6 months, who'd paid for my father's funeral when the accident happened, who'd made it clear that anyone who threatened me would answer to him. "I trust you," I whispered. Something flickered in his eyes. Satisfaction, maybe. Or something deeper. "Good." His thumb brushed across my cheekbone. "Because after tomorrow, everything changes." "Changes how?" "You've been working for me for 6 months. Playing the role of junior attorney. Keeping your head down." His hand slid to my chin, tilting my face up to meet his eyes. "After tomorrow, that ends. Everyone will know you're mine. Not just my lawyer. Mine." My heart was pounding. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying this meeting is a test. Can you handle the pressure? Can you be what I need, brilliant legal mind and criminal asset? Can you survive in my world?" His forehead pressed against mine. "If you succeed tomorrow, I claim you."
Publicly.
Officially. No more pretending you're just an employee. And if I fail, I'll protect you anyway. But it will cost us both. His voice dropped. "So don't fail, Serena." He pulled back, moved toward the door. "Go home. Get some sleep. Tomorrow you prove to the Corsettis that you're just a lawyer. And you prove to me that you're everything I think you are." He left, and I stood there trembling, trying to process what had just happened. Tomorrow, I would walk into a meeting with the family that had corrupted my father. The family that held his debts over my head. The family that could destroy everything with a single phone call. And I would do it alone. This is insane, I thought. But I gathered my things and went home anyway. The meeting location was neutral ground, a conference room in a 5-star hotel overlooking the Duomo. Expensive. Public enough to discourage violence. Private enough for honest conversation. I arrived at 1:45 p.m., wearing my most conservative suit, carrying a briefcase full of contracts I'd memorized. My hands were steady despite the fear coursing through my veins. "You're just a lawyer," I reminded myself. Boring. Forgettable. Beneath their notice. The Corsetti legal team was already there. 3 men in expensive suits, flanked by 2 others who were clearly security. And at the head of the table, the man himself, Luca Corsetti, underboss of the Corsetti family. He was older than I expected, late 50s, distinguished, with cold eyes that assessed me in one glance. "Ms. Fontana." He stood, extended his hand. "Thank you for coming." I shook it, keeping my expression neutral. "Mr. Corsetti, shall we begin?" We sat. I opened my briefcase, pulled out the contracts with hands that didn't shake. The territorial disputes outlined in Section 3. I began, launching into the legal language Dante had prepared.
Dry.
Boring.
Safe.
The meeting proceeded smoothly for the first hour. We negotiated contract language, discussed boundaries, debated terms. I was good at this, the legal analysis, the careful wording, the strategic compromises. I was starting to think I might actually survive this. Then Luca Corsetti said, "Fontana. That name is familiar. Any relation to Judge Antonio Fontana?" My blood went cold. Every person in the room was looking at me, assessing, calculating. "He was my father," I said carefully. "He passed away 6 months ago." "Ah, yes. The car accident." Luca's expression didn't change. "Tragic. Your father was a good friend to our family." Good friend. Translation. He took our bribes for years. "He was a good man," I said, keeping my voice steady. "Indeed. And he owed us quite a bit of money when he died. 200,000 euros to be exact." Luca leaned back in his chair. "We've been trying to contact you about settling his debts, but you've been difficult to reach." This was it. The moment where everything could fall apart. I had seconds to decide. Admit I worked for Dante Valentino and die, or spin a story and pray it held. "I've been avoiding your calls," I said, choosing my words carefully. "Because I don't have 200,000 euros. I'm a junior attorney making 60,000 a year. I can't pay my father's debts. Then why are you here? Luca's eyes narrowed. Negotiating for Valentino Holdings? Because I'm good at contract law. Because Valentino and Associates hired me based on my credentials, not my family history. Because I need the work. I met his eyes. Let him see the desperation. I'm here doing my job, Mr. Corsetti. That's all. Your job. He studied me for a long moment. And does Dante Valentino know about your father's debts to us?
No.
The lie came easily. I kept it quiet. I didn't want my personal problems affecting my employment. How very professional of you. Luca's smile was cold. Here's what I think, Miss Fontana. I think you're in a very difficult position. Debts you can't pay. Working for our rival without him knowing your family's connection to us. That's dangerous. I'm aware. But it's also useful. He glanced at his associates. What if we made an arrangement? You work off your father's debts by providing us with information. Corporate intelligence. Details about Valentino's business dealings. Nothing too obvious. Just small things that help us stay competitive. My heart was pounding. He was asking me to spy on Dante, to betray the man who'd protected me for 6 months. But if I refused, he'd know I was loyal to Dante. He'd realize I'd been lying.
He'd kill me.
How long? I asked quietly. 6 months. Small reports. Nothing that would get you caught. At the end, your father's debts are cleared and you're free. I thought about Dante, about his warning, about the fact that I was supposed to be invisible to the Corsettis. I'd just become very, very visible. Okay, I whispered. I'll do it. Luca smiled. Excellent. We'll be in touch with instructions. Now, shall we return to these contracts? We finished the meeting. I negotiated the territorial language, shook hands, smiled, acted like my world hadn't just exploded. When I finally left the hotel, I made it 3 blocks before I had to stop, lean against a building, and try not to vomit. What had I just done? Dante was waiting in my office when I returned. He sat in my chair, feet on my desk, reading through papers with casual authority. When I entered, his eyes lifted to meet mine. How did it go? I closed the door, locked it, then turned to face him with my heart pounding. They recognized me. They know I'm Judge Fontana's daughter. They know about the debts. His expression didn't change, but I saw his hands tighten on the papers. What did you tell them? That you didn't know. That I kept it quiet to protect my job. That I'm just a lawyer trying to make a living despite my father's mistakes. I moved closer to the desk. They believed me. And they offered me a deal. Work off the debts by providing them corporate intelligence on your operations. 6 months of small reports and I'm free. Now his expression changed. Darkened. Dangerous. You agreed. I had to. If I refused, they'd know I was loyal to you. They'd realize I'd been lying about not telling you. They'd kill me. I met his eyes. So I agreed. I'm now a spy for the Corsetti family. He stood, moved around the desk with predatory grace. They think you're their asset. Yes. But you're mine. He backed me against the door, his hands on either side of my head, caging me in. And now you're going to be my double agent. My breath caught. What? You'll feed them false information. Corporate intelligence that looks real, but leads them nowhere. Meanwhile, you'll gather real intelligence about their operations. His eyes were intense on mine. You just became the most valuable piece on the board, Serena. Congratulations. This is insane. I'm not trained for this. I'm a lawyer, not a spy. You're brilliant. You think 3 steps ahead. You read people. His hand cupped my face. And you just proved you can handle pressure. You went into that meeting, got cornered, and turned a disaster into an opportunity. That's exactly what I need. I could get killed. I won't let that happen. His forehead pressed against mine. You're mine to protect now. Remember? I claimed you, which means I keep you safe. No matter what. Even though I just agreed to spy for your enemies? Especially because of that. His smile was dark. You're perfect, Serena. Exactly what I've been waiting for. He kissed me then, and it was nothing like I'd imagined. This wasn't gentle or tentative. This was possession.
Claiming.
The kiss of a man who decided I belonged to him and was done pretending otherwise. When he finally pulled back, I was gasping. From now on, you report to me. Everything the Corsettis ask for, everything they want to know, you bring to me first. We'll craft the information together. You'll be my eyes and ears in their organization. His thumb brushed across my lower lip. And in exchange, I protect you. I clear your father's debts. And I make you mine. Officially. Completely. What does that mean? Officially? It means everyone in my organization knows you're under my personal protection. It means you move into my penthouse where I can keep you safe. It means you stop being just my lawyer and become my partner. His eyes were dark with promise. It means you belong to me, Serena. In every way that matters. This is insane, my mind screamed. Okay, I whispered. Okay.
Yes.
To all of it. The spying. The protection. You. My hands found his chest. I'm yours. The satisfaction in his smile was absolute. Good. Because I wasn't giving you a choice. The next 6 months were the most dangerous, exhilarating, terrifying time of my life. I moved into Dante's penthouse, a sprawling space overlooking Milan with security that made Fort Knox look casual. I continued working at his law firm, but now everyone knew I was more than just an attorney. I was Dante Valentino's woman, his partner, his. And I was spying for the Corsetti family while actually working for Dante. The reports started small. Valentino Holdings is considering expanding into the shipping sector. True, but old news. There's tension between Dante and his underboss about territory distribution. Completely fabricated. Luca Corsetti ate it up, praised my work, asked for more. Meanwhile, I gathered real intelligence. Who the Corsetti's suppliers were, which politicians they'd bought, what routes they used for trafficking. You're unnatural, Dante said one night, reviewing my latest report for the Corsettis. We were in his home office, him behind his desk, me perched on the edge. This is perfect. Enough truth to be believable, enough lies to be useless. I'm terrified every time I send something. What if they figure it out? They won't. His hand found my knee, squeezed reassuringly. You're too good at this. Too careful. What happens when the 6 months are up? When they expect me to be free of my father's debts? We'll handle that when it comes. He pulled me into his lap, his arms wrapping around me. For now, focus on staying safe and feeding them exactly what we want them to believe. I leaned into him, letting his presence calm the constant anxiety. I never thought my life would be like this. Spying for crime families. Living with a mafia don. Being yours. Regret it. I thought about it. About the fear. The danger. The constant pressure. No, I admitted. I don't.
Good.
His lips brushed my temple. Because you're stuck with me now. Month 4 brought complications. Preston, my ex-boyfriend, showed up at the law firm. He was a prosecutor now, building cases against organized crime, and his investigation had led him to Valentino and Associates. Serena. He cornered me in the hallway, his expression a mix of concern and suspicion. We need to talk. I'm busy, Preston. About the fact that you're working for Dante Valentino? About the fact that you're living with him? His voice dropped. Do you know what he is? What he does? He's my boss. And my boyfriend. That's all you need to know. Your boyfriend is a criminal. Preston moved closer, lowering his voice. I'm building a case, Serena. I have evidence. And if you're involved, if you know things and aren't reporting them, you could go to prison. My blood ran cold. Are you threatening me? I'm trying to save you. Come to my office.
Tell me what you know.
Testify against him. I can protect you. She doesn't need your protection. Dante's voice came from behind me, cold as ice. She is mine. Preston's face went pale. Dante was flanked by 2 of his men, his presence absolutely commanding. Mr. Valentino, I was just threatening my girlfriend. I heard. Dante moved between us, his body shielding me. Let me be very clear, Mr. Bradford. Serena is under my personal protection. Anyone who threatens her, anyone, answers to me. Do you understand? I'm a prosecutor. You can't. I can do whatever I want. And you're going to stop bothering Serena. Stop investigating my firm. Stop building your little case. Dante's smile was cold. Or I'll make sure certain information about your own corruption finds its way to your superiors. Preston's expression shifted. Fear replacing bravado. You're bluffing. Am I? Dante pulled out his phone, showed Preston something. Those bribes you took during the election campaign? The evidence you planted in the Rodriguez case? I have proof of all of it. So back off. Or burn. Preston stared at the phone, then at Dante, then at me. You're choosing him? A criminal? I'm choosing myself, I said quietly. And yes, him. Now leave, Preston. And don't come back. He left, practically running. Dante turned to me, his hands finding my shoulders. Are you okay? He was building a case against you. Against us. My voice shook. If he has evidence, he has nothing that will stick. And now he knows to back off. Dante's thumb brushed across my cheek. I told you. I protect what's mine. That includes protecting you from ex-boyfriends with delusions of heroism. I kissed him, grateful and terrified and completely in love with this dangerous man. Thank you, I whispered against his lips. Always. He kissed me back, possessive and claiming. You're mine, Serena. No prosecutor, no rival family, no one takes you from me. Month 6 arrived too quickly. The Corsettis called a meeting. My debt was paid. I was free. But Luca had one more request. There's a property deal, he explained over the phone. Valentino is bidding against us. We need the details of his offer. Get them for me and we're done. You're free and clear. I hung up, my hands shaking. This was it. The test. The moment where I either fully committed to Dante or tried to salvage some semblance of independence. They want details on the Riverside property deal, I told Dante that night. They think it's the last request. After this, I'm supposedly free. And what did you tell them? That I'd get the information. I met his eyes. What do you want me to give them? He studied me for a long moment. What do you want to give them? I want to give them exactly what will destroy them. I want to end this. I want to be fully, completely yours without this hanging over us. I moved closer to him. I'm done playing both sides. I choose you. Only you. The smile that crossed his face was pure satisfaction. Then we'll give them exactly what they want. The real details of our bid. Every number. Every term. I stared at him. That will let them win the property.
No.
It will let them think they're winning. His hand cupped my face. The property is worthless. Contaminated land that would cost millions to remediate. But they don't know that. They'll outbid us, win the property, and realize too late that they've bought a liability. That's brilliant. That's business. He kissed me softly. Give them what they want, Serena. End the charade. And then you're mine. Fully. Finally. With no more secrets between us. I gave the Corsettis the information. Watched them celebrate their victory. Watched them purchase property that would drain their resources for years. And I walked away from them forever. Luca called 2 weeks later, rage in his voice. You knew that property was contaminated. I gave you the information you asked for. What you did with it was your choice. You played us. You've been playing us for 6 months. Yes. I kept my voice steady, even though my heart was pounding. I work for Dante Valentino. I've been feeding you false intelligence since day one. And now you know. You're dead. You hear me? You and Valentino. I hung up, looked at Dante, who'd been listening to the entire conversation.
They know, I said.
Good. He pulled me into his arms. Let them know. Let everyone know. You're mine. Officially. No more hiding. No more secrets. They'll come after us. Let them try. His hand slid into my hair. I've been preparing for this. They made their move and they lost. Now it's my turn. The war was brief and brutal. The Corsetti family came after us with everything they had. But Dante was ready. He'd been planning for months, using my intelligence to undermine their operations, turn their allies, expose their weaknesses. Within 3 weeks, the Corsetti family was fractured, their leadership in prison or dead, their territory absorbed by the Valentino family. And I stood beside Dante through all of it. "You're a natural," he said one night, after another successful negotiation with a former Corsetti associate. "You were born for this world. I was born to be a lawyer. You turned me into a criminal. I turned you into my queen." He pulled me close, his eyes intense on mine. "You negotiated that deal better than any of my captains. You read people. You think strategically. You're ruthless when you need to be. You're perfect. I'm terrified. You're magnificent." He kissed me, deep and possessive. "And you're mine. My partner. My equal. My everything." 6 months ago, I'd stood in my office at 11 p.m., lamenting about a meeting I had to attend alone. Terrified of the Corsettis. Terrified of Dante. Terrified of my own life. Dante had appeared in the doorway and said, "You will go to the meeting without me." It had felt like abandonment, like being sent into danger alone. But it had been the opposite. It had been trust, strategy, protection. He'd set me alone because it was the only way to keep me safe. And in doing so, he turned me into exactly what he needed, a brilliant, ruthless, loyal partner who could navigate both the legal and criminal worlds. "I love you," I whispered against his lips. "I know." His smile was smug. "I've known since the moment you agreed to spy for the Corsettis. Since you chose me over safety. Over Preston. Over everything. You're very sure of yourself. I'm sure of us." His forehead pressed against mine. "You're mine, Serena Fontana. You have been since that first meeting. You just needed to realize it." He was right. I had been his. From the moment he'd hired me. From the moment he'd protected me. From the moment he'd trusted me to handle the Corsettis alone. This is insane, I thought one final time. Then, this is everything. Dante Valentino had sent me into danger alone. Had tested me. Had turned me into someone I didn't recognize. And I'd never been happier in my life. "Forever?" I asked. "Forever," he promised. "You and me. Against the world." And standing there in his arms, I believed him.